Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank you for coming to the budget hearing this evening. We'll start with a roll call.
Mayor Citrin,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Lindsay,
Present.
Trustee Brooke, absent. Trustee Shara, we'll note for the record he is absent, and Trustee Shaw.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, thank you. All right, so Tina Shaw, Trustee Shaw and I have been working diligently on this budget with Elizabeth and the department heads. We actually put some final touches on the budget this afternoon after getting updated figures. The tentative budget we posted last Thursday was obviously the most updated figures we had at that time, but new figures have come in and projections for insurance, et cetera, have come in. So there's been some minor tweaks to the budget. So if you want to see the most updated, it is online. Elizabeth posted it this afternoon. And I think John can share that. Okay. While he's getting that set up, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Seconded by Mayor Citrin. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're all set to go. Thank you, John. That's pretty big for, okay, good.
That's in the way.
No, it's perfect. Okay, so what we're looking at here is obviously the tentative budget we're considering tonight. That's all the way to the right. The next column to the left is the adopted budget from fiscal year 24, our current fiscal year. And just to the left of that are the year-to-date figures for the current year through April 11th. And then we added columns with actual figures for 3 previous fiscal years, which we use those figures for historical context to just see what trends are, and that we use those trends in our budgeting projections. So the highlights, I guess we could start with, is if you look at the general fund real estate property tax row, it is for this fiscal year, John's bringing us the cursor. Right, perfect. Oh, that's good. So we're projecting at the moment $3,718,189. That compares with last year. We're a little bit below last year, about $700. And so if we then go up to the top in the boxes, let's look at the tax levy, the last line, the last row. Yeah, the last row in that box up there.
The tax per thousand.
The percentage change in tax levy. Okay, there we are. So we have just an ever so slight change in the tax levy this year. And with the assessed evaluation having gone up, if you go to the second line from the top, you'll see the increase in property assessments for the year compared to last year. We're up about 700,000. So, that kind of impacts the individual tax rate per thousand for individual property tax property owners. So I know Claudio has questions. Would you like me to talk about some highlights first, Claudio, or? Do you want to, maybe we just start with your questions?
Well, what I did to make my life easier on this was added an extra column. Um, there's the adopted, the year to date, and we need to, I added an extra column annualizing the year to date. Assuming it's, it's not seasonal. The year to date has 286 days in it. So we can sort of see what the annualized numbers coming in for this year.
Yeah, let me just
Um,
jump in if I could. Through April 11, I calculate that to be 87.5% of the year.
mhm.
So if you see the column between the tentative budget and the adopted budget, the year-to-date percentage. Now, obviously, there are some things that come in right away, such as property taxes, right? So that's already 99.5%. Certain things are, so anyway, 87.5% of the year. If things were evenly spread out throughout the year, that such as like payroll, you would expect the year-to-date figure to be around, 88%. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in. I don't know if that's, you're looking at
Sure.
it a different way, but so what did you come up when you calculated it your way?
No, I just added an extra column where I took the year to date. The year to date is 286 days. In certain expenses, and certain things like county sales tax, right? I mean, it can be annualized at a certain number. And that's the kind of thing I have 8 or 9, different things. I'd like to point out though that the that the assessed valuation means this is the all property level, the aggregate properly, the worth of the property in Tuxedo Park is $67 million, almost $68 million, a little bit higher than last year. And our tax rate actually went down. So I think it's important to emphasize to people that the tax rate per $1,000 of assessed value or market value is went down by a little bit over 1%. So I think that's very good.
Yeah, we're happy about that. Of course, some people who constructed homes or completed construction will have a slightly, the tax rate will be what it is, but they're, if they added or added valuation, then obviously their taxes might go up. So not everybody's taxes will go up, or not everybody's taxes will go down, but some people will, if their property assessment is remaining the same, we'll see a bit of a reduction, which is
Yep. No.
we're happy about that. But the main thing is that I'm happy we weren't that we were able to keep the actual revenues we need from property taxes basically the same.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you, guys.
So what are some of your other observations?
Let's look at line in the general fund revenue 1120A. It's the county sales tax, and county sales tax, it's mainly from Woodbury Commons. It's a little seasonal where people do a lot of it's outdoors, so maybe in the wintertime dries up. There's Legoland, and there's a few other things that are kicking in. It's been, forget the COVID years, but it went from 126 to 132. We have it, we have the tentative budget at 110. This year, if we annualize 104,000 that we're getting in, it annualizes at 134,000. So I think 110 is a little low, unless you expect the economy to drop off a cliff.
Well, the way we like to look at it, I agree with you. And we did have a fiscal year 23, where it was 132,000. But, Tinka and I, on the revenue side, we're very conservative, kind of maybe not putting in as much as we could to see how things would work out, right? So So maybe we could have gone a little bit higher, but we wanted to be very conservative and not count on money that may not.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I believe that the county sales tax payments are made quarterly. And that we've received the last payment for this fiscal year. The next one will be in the next fiscal year.
On a good point. Thank you.
So, yeah, this is one of those instances where, sometimes you can annualize the year to date, but sometimes you can't. Like you said, sometimes things come earlier or just once in a year. Other things come regularly throughout the year. So, but I believe we're finished with the county sales tax at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could take 10,000 off if you prefer. We could make it 100. We could actually make it 100. We'd still be fine. I'm just going to make a little note in the column if we wanted
Yeah,
to be.
Let's
conservative.
double check that. I mean, going from 100 to 132,000 last year, to 104 this year, all the payments were made. It's kind of strange because shopping takes.
Yeah. You might be right. It's worth looking into.
Yeah. My second point is 2401-A.
2401-A interest, yes.
Yeah. Well, if we have, let's say, a balance of, I'm
Can you
gonna
talk
have
more
it-
directly?
Yeah,
Oh,
can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Yeah. If we have a balance of, $4.7 million in the bank, and we multiply it by maybe 4.9%, we do get about $180,000 or $190,000, but that's the height of balance. It's not the average balance. The average balance should be $4.7 million divided by 2, right? Because the average, you're using money, and after 6 months, that's your average balance. So I'd look at that number, and that number should, in my view, should be closer to 100,000, not 175,000.
Well, one thing, look at the year-to-date figure of 126,000.
Mm-hmm.
That the money wasn't invested until July. Okay, so we're already 1 month short. Plus, we still have 6 more weeks of this fiscal year.
Well, how much do we have? What is our balance in the bank at this point in time?
Our balance as of I don't have the most updated. I have through February 29. The general fund was 3,005,930. The water funds, both of them, were 1,268,000.
Okay, there's the water funds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tinka would like to add.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do agree with you, Claudia, that it might be a little optimistic because we don't know necessarily if the interest rates are going to stay that high throughout the year. So it's certainly something to look into.
Yeah, what I'm saying though, the interest on the water fund belongs to the water and shouldn't be here, and the interest on the sewage fund should be pertains to the sewage and shouldn't be here. What I think my point is that the average balance throughout the year on the general fund is probably $2 million, and we're calculating interest on 4 million, which is the height.
The height.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It might
so
be. Okay, we'll look into that.
yeah, we can look into it, but we're pretty confident that with 10 more weeks left in the fiscal
Mhm.
year, we were comfortable with the 160. Well, we could start, I wouldn't reduce it all the way to 100, but we could reduce
Right.
it a little bit.
But are we in that number that we say year to date, 126,000? That seems high, and I'm wondering if the water fund and the sewage fund money is not counted in that.
No, that is just the general fund.
Yeah. All right. I mean, it just seems
Double check it.
Yeah,
But absolutely.
it seems high.
through February. Oh, that's December. Oh, yeah, this one I have my. Okay, the general fund. Now, this is just, we have two general funds, okay? We have checking and savings. Through February 29, we had earned interest of 124,497. And that didn't include March, April, or May, or June of last year. So that's 8 months.
Right, and is water fund and sewage fund money in the same account, or do we keep
No,
that
no,
No,
separate?
we have separate accounts.
It's separate, and through the year, the water fund had earned 38,000 through the year,
Mhm.
through, the end of February. Oh, this is just calendar year.
Mhm.
The sewer fund only has 10,000 in it, so it's really not very consequential.
All right, I mean, earning, you know, 100, if you annualize 126,000, you get maybe 160,000, and
No, it'd be more than
if you divide by 0.05%, you get about 3.2 million as your average balance during the year, which means that we collect 6 million in taxes. No, that's not right. We use half the money, right? At the 6 month, it should be only half amount remaining.
Okay, well, we'll look
okay.
into it.
But
Yeah.
Absolutely.
we're
yeah.
comfortable with 160, but you know, we could reduce it to 150 and we still would have about the same result net in how much tax levy we need.
All right.
I don't know,
right.
I'm sorry, just one little point. I don't know if this is relevant or not, but part of the thing here is that we have money that even before we collect tax dollars, we have money. So that was, you know, that was what was invested in, you know, in addition to the tax dollars. And then over the course of the year, it gets lower. But like you were talking about our tax bill, Mr. Guazzoni, and saying it would have to be like $6 million, but that's only if you didn't have any money to start out with, but we already had money to start out with. And then in addition, we had the tax
Okay,
revenue on
okay.
top of that. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and how much money did we have to start up with? It should be about 2
But-
million.
It was around 4 million.
We started out with 4 million, then we collected
Around that,
3.7.
Well, I think
around that.
The 4 million sounds inflated, but by the time we had all the approvals done with New York class, we didn't start till July. So we probably had 80% of our tax money also collected by the time we started New York class.
Right, that's a good point too. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you, I have the July statement, which was our first month. Wait a minute.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that you collect, I mean, basically this is a business that collects some, the revenue is the tax money. So you collect 3.7 or $4 million, and then you spend it throughout the year. So at the end of the year it should be closer to zero, right? So the average balance should be,
At least $1 million will be left over with at the end of the year.
so we have $1 million in the surplus.
We do approximately.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do with that, now that we're talking about it, the mayor has set up a capital planning committee.
Mhm.
And we are gonna start meeting in the beginning of May, and we're going to take, instead of just keeping the general fund cash in a checking account, we're gonna put it into a capital reserve fund.
Mhm.
Not all of it, of course. Some of it, and it will continue to earn interest in NY class while we plan for capital projects.
All right, great. All right, you know, if you're gonna go through it, okay, my next comment is 5031-A. And this, when I set up the water fund, I took it out on the general fund back in 2015. And I set up an interfund transfer. Basically, it's an administration fee that the village charges the customers of the, you know, the water fund, let's say, the customers of the water company to manage that business. And it was about $1,000 a month. You know, it's good you raised it to 2,000. That's great. I would suggest a similar management fee or administration fee be taken out of the sewage fund. So you need to restructure the sewage fund fees to first of all correctly reflect the cost of the sewage, but also to have an interfund transfer from sewage of about the same $25,000.
Well, we'll do that when we can stabilize the sewer fund. Right now, you know, we're looking for funds for the sewer improvements. And right, you know, we have the, as you say, administrative funds from the water fund, and right now I think that works quite well. You know, the water fund has money available for capital projects and administration. Elizabeth, you have something you'd like to add?
No,
Yeah, I like to throw it, the water fund, the sewer fund is almost running at a deficit, and we
You know,
we may have to consider an adjustment of rates. We have to increase revenue. So I don't think it's wise, even if we theoretically could take an administrative fee for handling the transactions. I don't think we want to do that at this point in time.
No.
and what I'm saying is that when you do adjust it, because it needs to be adjusted, to take into account an administration fee similar to what we've done for the water fund. There are three separate companies. There's the village, sewage, and the water company, and they all have different customers, and so you really can't, you know, cross money from one fund to another fund.
Well, we're working in that direction for sure. I
all right.
agree.
Next little, in this, it's a little 90/30 spot 80A Social Security. Now, again, it could be seasonal.
Elizabeth, you want to, well, look at what we did last year. We seem to have over budgeted 103. But if you look, again, that's why we like to look at historical data. And Elizabeth, can you kind of?
well, we look at, I can see what we've spent so far, and this is one where you can annualize it. And I don't specifically remember, how we came up with the 83. To be honest, I don't have my papers in front of me. But again, that is one where we would have annualized it and tried to, take a guess about what we'll, and we have like 3 more payrolls or something to go through. So, I sort of based it upon that. I can look
Right.
at that again just to make sure.
Yeah, if we take the 74.7 that we spent to date, annualize it, it becomes 94,000. So it's 11,000 up from 83.
Okay. Good point. Thank you. We'll look at that just to make sure.
Right, and the same thing with the Medicare, if you care, it's closer to 60 and not 50.
You mean workman's comp?
Yeah, we're twins comp, sorry.
So-
Yeah. I'm looking at another screen, yeah.
Workman's comp is one of those ones where we get 1 bill a year, we've paid it already.
Okay. Front loaded, great, thanks.
That's a
Um,
good term, yeah. front-loaded.
yeah, 9060.80A health insurance, again, it might be front loaded. But we're annualizing at 753 and not 660.
No, I'll take a look at that one too.
Well, if you look at the year to date, it's 590, and if you look historically, it hasn't been over 600. I think Elizabeth looked at that, but we could certainly look at it again.
Again, it could be front loaded and that's why, but if we annualize the year to date number, we get 753. Yeah.
I can't, well, I'd be surprised if it goes up that much, but
Oh, man, I know what I'm paying.
let's hope.
All right, that's all my nits.
Oh, okay, thank
you.
you.
All righty.
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate your input.
Anybody else out there?
I think Joanne. Joanne was on. You still on?
I'm on, but I don't have any comments.
Okay, I think we're done then. Are we?
Well, before we close this session, I'd like to personally thank the deputy mayor and trustee Shaw for the tremendous work they put into this budget. They've been working for at least a month, if not more, and they've been working very hard. And they deserve a lot of credit from the board members, trustee Brooke and trustee Scherer, as well as myself. But we, on behalf of the two trustees, we thank you, and the community should thank them because they went above and beyond in the work they put into this budget. So kudos to you guys. Kudos.
And I would like to thank them too, because they're wonderful. And I'm so lucky and so happy to be able to work with them. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
I'd like to, well, no, wait a minute. Let me first ask, after we take a look at the suggestions and revise it, what are the next
Oh.
steps? Do we-
Elizabeth, the next step after the revisions are made, do we have to have another public hearing? on
No,
the
I
divide?
don't think so. I think we just have to, and I'm not 100% sure. I was thinking about that on the way home today. So I have to look it up. I don't know if John remembers from previous years, or if we can just at that point adopt the budget.
I'll go look at the schedule by your desk.
Okay.
I know May 1 is a
I mean,
busy-
I don't think the schedule really lays out what we're asking about. It just gives you the dates about by what time things have to be done.
Right, but I don't know if we have to have another public hearing, because if we change anything, there are gonna be small changes.
Right. Yeah, so, John, do you remember if the board has to meet to adopt the budget formally?
I don't recall, but my instinct says yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. My instinct says yes too, but I don't
Does
recall
make
either.
sense.
So I think we look into what was suggested tonight, go through it one more time and schedule a meeting.
One thing I forgot to mention, is that on the revenue side, as we were told that we had to keep the mayor salary line in, and that's 35,700. So just so you know, everybody knows, the mayor is elected not to take the salary. So we know that that's going to go to surplus, or, we could budget transfers.
Yeah.
So we're pretty comfortable with the budget, because of that cushion that we have. Does that make sense, Claudia and Joanne?
Yes, it does. One more thing that came to mind when we had our first budget back in 2015, we collected a big surplus, and I thought, hey, that was a great thing. But then the state came in and sort of told us, hey, you can't have a surplus that big, because a surplus, basically, it's a wealth transfer from the current residents to the future residents. And so I think there's a percentage of the budget, and look into this, that you can have as a surplus at any one period in time. And so what Tom Wilson did, he spent a lot of the surplus. I don't know if you remember that, because we had a surplus that was way too big.
Well, the one thing I mentioned earlier, and we really are taking this seriously, is that we're gonna set a capital budget. And with the surplus funds, we'll transfer from the surplus to the capital budget. And then, that way we're keeping property taxes even, revenues even, and setting aside that surplus, so it really wouldn't be counted as surplus once we put it into a capital reserve fund.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just brought it up because I remember them coming in and giving us a hard time that our surplus was, I don't know, 1.6 million or something. It was large, and they said way too large, and it's a wealth transfer from current residents to future residents, and it's not fair. And that's what they told us. So just wanted to relay that.
So Trustee Shaw has an update on, here.
So we'll just see here. I don't know if we, Elizabeth, do we keep the public hearing open until we adopt?
Oof.
final.
I think that's a
Budget?
good suggestion.
Yeah,
I think
right.
you're
I
right. We
like
shouldn't
that
close the
idea.
public hearing.
Yeah, and then that way we don't have to do any more announcements and things.
Right,
So,
Good thinking.
good idea, right.
Good. So I'd like to make a motion to keep the public hearing for the fiscal year 25 budget open.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
no, no
Okay.
discussion. And then I guess if the public hearing is open, then when we meet the next time.
Yeah, we'll
we can
schedule
just
the
schedule,
continuation
yeah,
of the public
continuation of
hearing
the
and
Public hearing.
we'll close it at that
Yeah.
time and then we'll vote on the budget, adopting the budget.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
sounds
Okay,
good.
all right.
all
Are we
in
going to
favor?
vote on that? Sorry.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, I was
yes.
just
Yes.
gonna take the
Oh.
vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that concludes our business for tonight, folks. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in the near future as we continue the public hearing and the final adoption of the budget. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody, for your hard work.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
well,
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right.
That was a good hearing.
Good.
So long, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.